know someone, or are you personally battling a drug and alcohol addiction? Why are so many people addicted today? And why have so many people died as a direct result of this disease? If you've been affected by this problem and want answers like we do, then join us in our efforts to face this disease. Our purpose is to examine the truths, expose the lies, and uncover and provide resources to this affliction. Come, join us in this journey. Hi, I'm Charlene DeChico, and welcome to Addiction and Recovery TV. Today we are hosting an event here in West Hollywood at the West Hollywood Park. This is a Mental Health, Addiction, and Awareness Day. We have several people from organizations within the community that are here today to discuss some of the issues that we face in the mental health and addiction world, as well as provide resources. So we hope today that we will not only raise awareness, but that we will hear from people and learn about the difference that they are making so that you can become better informed and maybe take advantage of these services. We'd like to thank you for taking this time with us today, and please continue to follow us and like us on Facebook, support our program, and be encouraged by the people that are here today, because they are all here today as volunteers and of service to let the community know the difference that they are making. So thank you for joining us here today, and let's get this party started. Thank you for joining us today here at Addiction and Recovery TV. I am sitting here with my guest, Mr. Melvin Grimes, who is also known as a fresh drink of water. What does that mean, a fresh drink of water?
A fresh drink of water means recapturing your life, recapturing the destination and vision you have to accomplish what you want in life. We teach the solution to get you beyond or get you to the next step in your life to recovery.
Wow. So for people that come from a troubled past, whether maybe they're in treatment or incarceration, are you an aftercare program, or how do you get in touch with people, or how do people get in touch with you to get this help that they need?
Right now is through my email address, which is gjhsm199@yahoo. What we show them is, once they clean their lives up, we show them about business, home ownership, and other things that are available to them that are out there, and programs that's been out there for 25 and 30 years that will help them with their down payment, their closing costs, and all of this. And it has nothing to do with your credit, but just that your desire to have a job and to purchase your own property.
That's amazing. So I guess then you've seen success stories where someone was either in jail or on drugs and was able to come through your program and actually do that? Has that actually happened?
Yes, we have many individuals who have had, let's say, diverse backgrounds and diverse things that they experienced in life, but it was a mistake. But so we're there for the solution for where they think they cannot go. And we do it through their name. We show them the value of their name, being an American citizen, and to accomplish what the country has given them since our inception.
This is really interesting because, at Addiction and Recovery TV, we're always talking about mental health, substance abuse, and just people who come from troubled backgrounds and learn behaviors that can be very detrimental. So I can understand that this program helps people rehabilitate their lives. Maybe if they had a substance abuse problem, maybe they went to jail for being a criminal, and now you're learning this new way of life, no longer being a criminal.
That's true. What you're saying is absolutely correct, and the good thing about it is we help them write visions for their future. We believe that a lot of the youth don't have visions. And by not having a vision, sometimes their direction is directed in an opposite direction. But we believe that if they write their vision and see where they're going themselves, then we believe they can have a very successful life.
Well, that's an amazing concept. So we appreciate the work that you're doing, the efforts, and even helping individuals. And if you know someone that would like to rebuild their life, and I mean, talking about mortgages and getting a house where it's not based on your credit score and given a second chance, it sounds like a pretty awesome thing to me. We appreciate what you're doing.
Okay, thank you. And like I say, we'd really like to offer this program that we have. The program is a little over 35 years old. The banks will pay your cost, but what we want to see is them get jobs and get acclimated into society. Our desire is to give them the opportunity to build something that has not been built.
Well, that is a fresh drink of water, if I must say so myself. You guys better look into that. That's some good news right there. Thank you, Mr. Melvin, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Hi, welcome back to Addiction and Recovery TV. I'm your host, Charlene DeChico. So I'm sitting here today with Mr. Alexis Gonzalez, and he is from the Teen Project. So Alexis, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, what is the Teen Project?
Thank you for having me. Well, the Teen Project is an inpatient facility for women 18 to 30 years old, co-occurring. So we treat both substance abuse and mental health.
Awesome, and that's exactly what we talk about here on Addiction and Recovery TV. And so you're saying the Teen Project, so you primarily focus on young adults, teenagers, and why the Teen Project?
Well, actually, our population is 18 years old to 30 years old. So I think to understand the Teen Project, our mission, our vision, how we operate and all that, you really got to know Lori Burns' story. Lori's our founder and CEO. So we basically have two fundamental beliefs. We want to get you to a healthier place in terms of your addiction, your mental health, whatever trauma you've had, and that's medically, physically, psychologically, emotionally, but also you need something tangible so you don't fall back into old behavior. Sure. So that's our two main sort of pillars. And we get this from Lori. Lori went into foster care, aged out of foster care, fell to a victim of sex trafficking, became addicted to heroin.
This is the woman you're speaking about, sex trafficking. Well, that's a big deal. Let's pause on that. Look, I want to get it a little closer so we can really. Okay, so that's a big deal. Right. Sex trafficking. I mean, that's got to be a major. Coming back from that and dealing with that, I just.
Yeah, I can only imagine. She did write a book.
So tell us a little bit about the Teen Project and the origin of the organization.
Okay, so it all started with Lori Burns. Lori is our founder and CEO. Lori was in foster care, aged out of foster care, fell victim to the streets, sex trafficked, became addicted to heroin, and had to work the streets basically. She, one night on the verge of being killed, was saved by somebody, went into treatment, and learned a vocational trade that saved her life. From there, she became an executive at Northrop Grumman, left all that behind, and we launched the Teen Project. And the reason why I bring that up is because that's our very model. Let's get you to a better place in terms of your addiction, your trauma, and give you something tangible, a tool, a vocational trades tool for you to not fall back into old behavior.
Wow,
so that's pretty much our two pillars as an institution, or as a facility, or as an agency.
So, I mean, just having to deal with being a victim of sex trafficking and then the substance abuse on top of that, and I'm sure many of our viewers can appreciate that you guys are tackling it from all sides. What I wanted to highlight and talk about is I noticed that in your brochure, it says something about a free rehab. So does that mean, because nowadays a lot of people struggle with getting treatment because they don't have insurance, and so do you have something at your facility if someone doesn't have insurance that perhaps they may qualify for receiving services?
Absolutely. We don't care if you have insurance, if you have Medi-Cal, you don't have Medi-Cal, you're from the county of LA, you're from Maine, you're from New York. We take everyone as long as you're a female, 18 to 30 years old. If you want help for your disease, we want to help you. It's very, very simple.
Well, we can totally appreciate that here at Addiction and Recovery TV. And I'll tell you what, Alexis, we want to talk to Lori and we want to hear her story. We want to talk more about the Teen Project and the model that was developed based on her personal story. I think that's a very intimate look. So I would like to let our viewers know out there that they can look forward to a follow-up story. Is this possible?
Absolutely. We would love to have you, and I would love for you to sit down with Lori. She can tell her story better than anyone. She lived it, so yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming out today. So it's been a very informative day today here at the Mental Health Awareness event in West Hollywood. And I'm standing here with Steven. So Steven's been here at the event. And I want to ask you, have you gotten anything out of today? Have you learned something about mental health? Or what would you like to tell the public?
Yeah, it was pretty informative, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was interesting to see the bond between addiction and mental health.
So, yeah, and we've been talking a lot about that on Addiction and Recovery TV, the correlation between mental health and addiction. And there was some of the organizations here today, we learned that not so many people struggle not only with substance abuse, but other issues. And do you think that in today's society that we're actually addressing the issue, or do you personally feel like there's something else we can do to better serve the community in this area?
I believe there's a lot more we can do to serve the community, and not just this area, but many areas and many cities around the nation.
Sure. Like, for example?
Well, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, Denver, ATL,
Right.
New York, Dallas, Fort Worth, many.
The list goes on and on.
Yes.
So would you say we need more treatment centers? We need more awareness? What do you think the solution is?
Both more affordable treatment facilities and more awareness to the repercussions of drug abuse as well as the precautions of drug abuse, and awareness is everything. Most people don't realize what they're seeing until it's far too late.
Yeah. Well, hopefully today the awareness was raised. People have learned. I know that there's been organizations here today. They help people get homes. There's other people. There's a free rehab facility that we talked to. So I definitely think that today people got some good information.
I believe they did as well. Absolutely. I definitely did.
Great. Well, thank you. Continue to enjoy your day here today. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
We're here still at the Mental Health Awareness Day in West Hollywood, and we're talking with Brian from the treatment center here. And Brian's going to tell us a little bit about the company that he works for and what he would like to say about mental health and addiction. So thank you, Brian, for joining us.
Thank you, Charlene. This is awesome that you're doing this for the community, and this is a great opportunity for Forward Recovery to have a networking opportunity with other professionals in the industry. And my story is one that I couldn't have achieved recovery, sobriety, or being clean and sober without Forward Recovery. I was a very low bottom hypodermic needle using homeless drug addict a little over a year and 3 weeks ago. I was so lucky to be scholarshiped into this treatment center, Forward Recovery, and I now work in a capacity to coordinate admissions with Forward Recovery. One of the things that I'd like to mention, and I think that I see is one of the struggles within the non-insurance-based addict suffering on the street, and the addict that has premium insurance or private insurance, is that the level of care, the level of compassionate care. I think that as a community, one of the things we may need to focus on within these, pressing
With
treatment and all these issues, is that the level of care that someone gets in a treatment center like Forward Recovery, the compassionate care and basically the self-esteem that it takes to have the to be able to bridge the gap to say a 12-step model. In order to do that, I think you need you need the self-esteem, and that's one of the things that I think is done very well at treatment centers like Forward Recovery. But in the city-based treatment centers, I've experienced that, and I don't see that at all. And right. I think if we could find a way as a community to kind of give the same kind of care that we get in a company like this, in a center like Forward Recovery, and do the same kind of treatment and give that kind of equal care, on non-insurance based treatment, I think we might have a shot at actually getting some better numbers in terms of addicts that are, progressively successful.
Right. So that has two questions there two things I want to highlight about what you talked about. Number one is we talked to someone else that had a free rehab component for their treatment facility. And that's something that we talk about on Addiction Recovery TV, that the addicts are struggling because they're not able to get clean if they don't have the insurance. But then the second part of that is the staying clean part. So we do value the fact that the center that you work for, they do offer a program, and like you said yourself, you were scholarshiped into it, so that's amazing. But I want to talk to you about the issue that we're having with, now you're someone that's been through the center. We see addicts, or we see people that go into these centers and they maybe receive treatment while they're there, but then they go home and it's that revolving door. So what is it that we can do to make a difference that these providers or treatment centers are able to tell these people, listen, you're here with us and we're going to do this, but there's more when you leave here and aftercare? Would you say that at your facility they're working on making sure that when these addicts leave, they're going to know how to live?
Absolutely. I think that Forward Recovery definitely is displaying an adverse and a wide variety of solutions for our clients that give them the ability to branch out into different directions, be it the 12-step model or others. And it's definitely one of the things that is, a focus, taking clients to meetings and introducing them to the 12-step model, helping them to understand how it works exactly and how to get involved and to really find your way and your tribe.
Right. And the aftercare, which is so important. And we know with fellowship programs, they were even here today and having their booths, they do have what is called anonymous programs. So they don't really, if they are abiding by their traditions, they're not really talking about who and what they are. But if you're in treatment, there are presentations, the information is provided. And so how do we link the addict with the tribe of their own so that when they go home, they can live and stay clean?
Absolutely. I think that's true. And I think that especially at Forward Recovery, we definitely respect the traditions of those 12-step programs. And we cannot push those because we do respect the traditions of those, very successful models. However, yeah, it is something that is alternatively introduced as well anyway, and for me it's been a success. This Forward Recovery bridged the gap between the compassionate care that I needed to build the self-esteem so that I could go to the 12-step meetings and feel comfortable and feel like I belonged and not feel like just utterly low self-esteem and shame and feeling like I should go back out and use because maybe I didn't belong, maybe my clothes weren't nice enough and stuff like that. I think that's one of the components of a compassionate care facility like Forward Recovery is that, the priority is to get the addict through that rough, tough detox stage and into a regimen of intensive outpatient therapy into the sober living environment. And then we actually, we monitor and require in the sober livings that they make 5 meetings a week. And so that's a mandatory in the sober living. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where, like, how do we work together hand in hand and, one, respect the traditions of these 12-step groups as well, but at the same time,
Keep people alive.
Right, keep people alive and keep people and make sure that they feel comfortable and have a lane to if that's their path. Some people choose to do other types of recovery. The 12 steps are not the only way, but at Forward we definitely want to introduce them to the full array.
And the information that you have, you can only provide what is known, and so that's why events like this or programs like this to kind of bring people together. We've learned from, would you say that you had the opportunity today to network with other events, other facilitators and say, well, this is really interesting what you're doing. Absolutely. We should know about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've met a couple of people today that talked about, a couple of gentlemen that I spoke to today had some great coping spill mechanisms. Some of the stuff that you need to know coming into, from the low bottom addicts' life into society again. And some of the stuff we also have in groups and treatment. We met some professionals that also do that same kind of teaching of coping skills, which is just vital to being able to go from the using addict, living homeless on the street, to being clean, to being able to feel confident and choosing the path for their continuing recovery and sobriety.
Right. It's like, okay, you made it out and you stayed alive. Now I got to learn to live.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is what this event has done today for me, though. So I'm absolutely excited and very grateful. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, and thank you for what you're doing and sharing your experience, but then also giving back by working in treatment.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Welcome back to Addiction and Recovery TV. I have today joining me at our Mental Health Awareness Day here in West Hollywood, a 50-year West Hollywood resident, Mr. Charles Brussel Fisher. 50 years, that's a big deal. So not only is he the 50-year West Hollywood resident, but he's also an independent film producer, and he's making his film on 35 millimeter, which starting off with that's pretty interesting. But this film is quite interesting, actually. The name of the film is Lady Gaga Black, Time's Up. That's an interesting title, right? Tell us about that.
There's a character in the film who's an 80-year-old man, and what happens is that he's been abusive his whole life. He was abused when he was a child, and I guess he went through depression and everything else. Also graduated from Berkeley with an IQ of 190, and also ran the West Side tax collecting business, and he committed suicide. And for his sins, he comes back as Lady Gaga Black.
Oh, that's how the name. So because this is Addiction and Recovery TV, you say, well, we're sitting here with a film producer today, but because this movie ties into depression and even dementia, and you have some background with dementia, you want to tell us how that correlates?
Well, yeah, I'm involved with real estate also in an apartment building, and I didn't want it, but I ended up being a de facto service giver. So I've been involved with a lot of undue influence, lack of capacity, $1 million lawsuits, everybody fighting over people, basically trying to take over other people's economical bank accounts.
When they're suffering with an illness or...
They don't know who they are anymore. And and lawyers end up making a lot of money.
So you were a part of putting a stop to that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it was part of it, and I've been involved in two of these. Also, one up north, up in San Francisco. That was another situation, and it's you have the kids, and then you have other people who think that they're, entitled, and it's all about dementia. And this is the biggest thing coming down the road. 20 years is predicted to be in the trillions.
What do we do? Like, how are we going to get on top of this? What's the research saying? Do you know?
I'll tell you, it's a very, very expensive disaster. And the congressmen and the senators, they don't know what to do. The people who are going to really get hit are the people in their 40s and 50s who are the children of these people who are in their 70s and 80s and having these problems. And these children are now people that, you have to diaper them. They don't remember who they are. And the caregivers have a tremendous amount of depression. Some of them end up dying before the people that they're taking care of, or they actually commit suicide.
Wow. This is a new topic for us here at Addiction and Recovery TV, but it is a topic that we want to explore because dementia, it's a frightening illness. And I don't know that we are talking to the people that are able to really provide solutions. We're learning about it, but I'm interested in doing upcoming shows to find out what research is saying, medication, what is prevention? How do we prevent this illness?
Well, they're working on it. but who knows? It's the big problem is the cost, 50 to 100,000 a year. Now, how many people, have 50 to 100,000? And this goes on for 30 years, because some people end up, and it hits women much more than men.
So going back to the film, now that's dealing with depression. There's nothing about dementia in the film.
No, the main character is, I don't know if you remember Dr. Demento, but he was like a comic radio guy. But the main character is, Billy Jack St. John the Baptist. Now, you may not know who Billy Jack
is. I know who Billy Jack
Okay, well, so 50 million tickets he sold. Those people are all in that bracket, are all in that age bracket where they're up there, we're going back to 1970, so if they were 20 or 15 or whatever, so they're all entering this total era of all these problems where somebody's got to take care of them.
Sure.
Now, I'll give you an example. China has 400 million people over 65. They don't know what they're going to do with them. We have millions, and it all has to do with depression, because all these people take care of them 24 hours a day.
Right.
And there's a lot of companies making a lot of money collecting $50,000 to $100,000 a year in Social Security, and who knows what. I don't see how they can afford it.
Wow. Well, you know what? This is something we're going to continue to talk about, and we'd like to have you back again in the future to discuss this, and maybe we can get in a.
What I'm doing with the film is, I've also been in film distribution. I've sold films overseas and stuff like that, and we're gonna have a big chunk of the profits on these films or whatever, because I'm the main investor, so I can afford to do it. We'll give you money. We'll see what we can do to help out a lot of these organizations.
This is being recorded here, so just remember.
Well, the problem is that I don't have any investors, so I don't have to go deal with a bunch of people looking at me saying, "Where's my money and where's my profit?" Makes a big difference.
Well, you know what, and we would like to make a big difference, because this is something I need to think about in my future, and I certainly don't want to have those problems myself, and I don't want to leave that type of burden to my children. But I'm really concerned in knowing about some prevention tactics. And didn't you talk a little bit about the depression training?
Okay. The biggest prevention tactic is for people not to get it. And the only way you're going to do that is you've got to take care of yourself. You got to work out 3 times a week. You got to watch your diet. You got to stay off of the cigarettes. You got to get your sleep, and you have to take care of yourself physically. That's the first thing, and not be so materialistically, and to be into the whole world of grabbing everything. You got to think about yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself, somebody else is going to have to take care of yourself. And it may not be your children. It may be who's ever around, and they're going to institutionalize you, and it's going to be a whole different world.
Well, we're going to look for that film getting completed, hopefully.
I'm not worried about it.
We want to have you back and talk about and take a look at it. So thank you so much for joining us today here at this mental health event. We hope that our viewers, if there's anybody out there who has a parent, or you yourself are struggling with one of those issues, reach out to us, contact us, because this is something we're going to continue to talk about. So thank you once again for joining us today.
Yeah, I've already been in festivals. I've won festivals, and the thing of it is that we have a comedy aspect to the film, so it's not like watching a depression, but it does get the message, and it does have a big audience.
Awesome. Well, we'll be looking for it. Thank you so much for joining us.